The angel of assassination. Who was Charlotte Corday? Marie-Anne Charlotte de Corday was born on the 27th of July 1768. She was most known as Charlotte Corday for being a figure of the French Revolution. In 1793, at the age of 25, she was executed by guillotine for the assassination of Jacobin leader Jean-Paul Marat. He was in part responsible for the radical course the revolution had taken through his role as a politician and journalist. The French Revolution turned the ideals and practices at the time on its head. Those of political, social, and cultural ideals changed dramatically, causing tension between different divisions. She has been nicknamed the Angel of Assassination for her actions and has somewhat become a legendary figure in the history of the French Revolution due to the impact the assassination of Jean-Paul Marat, a leader of the radical Jacobin group, had on the French Revolution. Charlotte was born into a privileged family of minor nobility. She gained a respectable education at a convent in Caen, where she was gifted access to an extensive library. She moved in with her cousin, of whom she later inherited their estate. When the revolution arrived, she was only 21, and Corday had decided on her political alliances, and she had the intelligence and privilege to action them. Many divisions had become radicalized, and she did not wish to associate herself with the likes of the Jacobins, who, despite being aligned in some aspects, were strongly opposed to the despicable violence and terror being escalated in France at the time. She therefore sympathized with the Girondists, who were relatively moderate in their outlook. They wished to remove the monarchy, but not through acts of extreme violence. They wanted to spread awareness throughout the whole of Europe, and they were nicknamed the War Party, but they were removed from leadership when the Jacobins upped their violence further, and the reign of terror began. Fighting fire with fire, she began to realize that radical action was required in order to revoke the terror and violence of the Jacobins. Marat was one of the leaders of this despicably violent group, and he believed that violence was necessary to achieve their objectives. He was even alleged to be the leading person behind the September massacres of 1792, where hundreds of political prisoners in Paris were killed due to the fears that they were plotting against the revolution. This was one of the pinnacle moments that Corday sympathized with the most. She did not believe that the king should have been executed, rather just removed from the throne. She saw the radicals becoming out of control, and people were becoming increasingly alienated against each other, threatening a civil war. It was this that motivated her to kill Marat, in the hope to protect the lives of the French people from a civil war. She planned her actions, and on the 9th of July, 1793, Corday bought a 6-inch bladed kitchen knife to Paris before taking up accommodation there. The original plan was to assassinate Marat in front of the entire National Convention, but he had stopped attending because of a skin condition that kept flaring up. He therefore spent his days in a medicinal bathtub, and he continued to conduct his affairs from there. She pretended to be one of his alliances in order to gain access to his home, with the sole intention of killing the root of the problem. She began to tell him of a fake uprising, and while he was taking note of the names given to him, she pulled out the knife and stabbed him in the chest. He shouted out for help, but his friends were too late. Corday was arrested immediately and subsequently interrogated for her crime. They deemed her plan was premeditated, and it was, and despite trying to defend herself, she was found guilty and sentenced to death. One of the most famous lines attributed to her is her justification for the assassination. "I have killed one man to save 100,000 people." Corday asked to be painted before being executed, and an officer of the National Guard named Huet did so. He portrayed her as a blonde, even though she was a brunette, because she had powdered her hair before the sitting, and she looked like a youthful and innocent person. Her trial and execution were rapid. Only 4 days after she murdered Marat, Corday was executed by guillotine on the 17th of July 1793. Some people criticised her, especially women, for tainting the feminist movement, and her actions may have become a direct catalyst for the subsequent defeat of women within revolutionary France. But others quickly described her as a martyr, and many considered her as a hero for her actions. Please comment, like and subscribe if you wish for more stories, and leave your suggestions below and I will endeavour to cover them.